In this game called life, things change on a daily basis. While on your journey, there will be highs and lows. Through it all, make sure you understand what's your purpose on earth. When adversity creeps in, don't run from it, but attack it with a solution. Always give your all in everything that you do and never give up. My next guest exemplifies everything that I just mentioned, plus more. That's why I would like to welcome to the HD Connection, Mr. Inky Johnson. Inky, what's up, my brother?
My brother, it's an honor, man. Thanks so much for the opportunity to be on. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Man, I had to. Every day I'm scrolling, looking at your social media to see what message I can get for the day, man. So I appreciate you and everything you do, not just for your platform, but for the world.
Thank you,
Notice
man.
I say it, the world now, the world.
No doubt. It means a lot, man. That means a lot. I appreciate that.
Now, Inky, you from the crib right here in Atlanta, Georgia, man. You grew up in Kirkwood. You went to Crim High School. I actually took the SAT at Crim High School. And look, it's a story for another day. I'm not even gonna talk about the altercation I got to at Crim High School with a brother going to take the SAT, Ink. But man,
sound about right.
But man, growing up in the ATL, man, what were some obstacles that you had to face, man, growing up?
Yeah, man, I think just expectation and standard, when you come from certain environments and, certain family structures, right? Like I was the first one in my family to go to college, grew up at 2-bedroom home with 14 people. And a lot of my family didn't graduate high school. And so even when I had dreams, goals, and aspirations, they were all great people. But it was like, man, we haven't seen that done before. So we hear you talking about it, Ink. But most of the people that live around us, they get to a certain point, they stop and they go and do what they do. And so I had to constantly fight to try to override that from a mind standpoint, but also getting attached to the right people that were doing it, that did see something in me when I couldn't see it in myself to fuel my level of belief. But I was blessed, man. I always tell people I was blessed with some great people, man, like coaches, teachers, people in the community that held me accountable, family members, my mom, my dad came into the picture later in life. Even though I was grateful for that, I was blessed with some great people, man, that helped me navigate, to become the man that I am today.
And it's funny, man, that you brought up the mindset, right? Because one thing people don't understand, sometimes I go talk to kids, right? And I ask them, what's the definition of poverty? And a lot of them say dollars and cents and all kind of things. And I tell them it's not. I tell them it's a mindset. And until your mindset change, your circumstances won't change until that mindset changes. So I'm glad you brought that up. Now, how did those obstacles help shape you as a man, though?
Yeah, I think it formed the perspective, man, that I live my life with today. But also, like, this, man, like when you go through adversity and opposition, like you either gonna go through it and become better as a result of it, or you're gonna go through it and become resentful, become bitter, use it as an excuse. And I think it just made me grateful, right? Like I tell people all the time, when I slept on the floor as a kid, were some of the best times in my life. You know what I'm saying? My environment, it was what it was. I didn't think of my environment as anything special. Like when I told cats my first time sleeping in a bed, when I got to college, like cats that stayed next to me wasn't sleeping in the bed. So it wasn't like it was anything special. Like that was just life for us and we navigated it. But what it did was it created a spirit of gratitude and it gave me a certain level of perspective. And so when I started to hit adversity and opposition, it's almost like I was trained to look for the upside in situations, right? I was trained to look at a situation and be like, all right, that went wrong, but man, this went right. I was trained to look at situations and say, all right, that didn't turn out the way I wanted it to, but man, I can extract this from it to apply to other areas and aspects to make me a better person. It was like it trained me mentally to be able to look at a situation and my mindset will automatically go to a solution when I face opposition and adversity.
That's big, man. That's very important because it especially nowadays, man, the young generation, they have so many things pulling at them left and right.
Oh, for sure.
But like you just echoed to, when you can tap into that mental, there's nothing in this world that can stop you from doing and accomplishing anything that you want to do because your mind is strong. The physical part about everything is easy. That mental part is the hardest part and the part that you got to tap in and on a consistent basis, be strong in the mind.
Yeah, man. That's real.
Now
That's real.
you overcame a lot. Then you head up to Knoxville, Tennessee. You know what I mean? University of
Mm-hmm.
Tennessee, UT.
Yeah.
What looked promising to you, which was the NFL, all got taken away
Mm-hmm.
with one play, right? Your
Absolutely.
dreams uh, were shattered, but God makes no mistakes, ain't you know what I mean? The
No
good man
doubt.
upstairs make no mistakes. He had a different plan and vision for your life. At
Mm,
what point in your life did you understand that, okay,
yeah.
God has something else in store for me?
Mm. Man, it took a little time,
Mm,
because like you played in the league, you put in a lot of work, and like I put in a lot of work, and that process got cut short.
yeah.
And I just wasn't aware, to be honest with you. I wasn't aware that you could work that hard, even though we see cats' careers end, we see cats get to a certain point, they can't play the game no more. At that time, I was 20 years old, I'm gun ho, I'm bulletproof, I'm ambitious, I'm driven. I'm thinking like, man, I'm gonna work for it and it's gonna happen. Because my whole life, that was my process. I'm gonna work for it, I'm gonna give everything I got to it. It got a chance of happening. If it don't, cool, extract something from it. And so I just didn't ever think like my career was going to end that way. And so
Yeah.
when my career ended, I'm going to be honest with you, bro. Like it was like it was a bad dream. Like I couldn't believe it for a while. Even though I was getting up, pressing forward, that was because of my mindset and the people I had around me. But
Mm-hmm.
like, it was like the first week and a half, I went to sleep early, like every day, because I
Mm,
was like, man, this can't be real, right? I would go to sleep early thinking, man, I'm going to wake up tomorrow, my arm going to be working. I'm gonna be able to
mm-hmm.
go back to rehab and play. I'll wake up, still can't feel my arm. And I would say a year and a half to 2 years after my surgery and after my career was over, that's when I realized, like, man, God is up to something, right? Like I was already thinking it
That's
because I
right.
saw it started to transform people that were connected to me. Like I saw how it penetrated my father. I saw how it penetrated my mother, even though she was always a believer. I saw how
Mm-hmm.
it penetrated some of my teammates and hit people in the community. So I knew God was already at work, but I hadn't found my purpose yet, right?
Mm.
And I would say a year and a half to 2 years out, that's when I was like, okay, got it. I think this is what God wants me to do with my life. I'm gonna be obedient and let's do it.
Now you talked about the good man upstairs, and this is crucial right here because sometimes we have our feet halfway in, sometimes we have our feet halfway out,
No
right?
doubt.
When it comes to the Lord, when did you 100%
Mm-hmm.
trust his goings and his principles?
Man, I would say I was probably on the road speaking at this point, probably 4 years in,
Mm-hmm.
just traveling, speaking, loving what I was doing. It was fun, it was rewarding, it was fulfilling. And I'll never forget, I hit up one of my buddies, an older gentleman, a mentor in my life. And, he speaks as well, does radio, does TV. And I was like, man, I just need to talk to you, right? Like at this point, I got my son, my daughter, my wife. And I'm like, man, people are telling me to go coach in football because I had opportunities,
Mm-hmm.
player development. The cat's like, man, that's speaking cool. Go coach, man. You could do that on the side. Go coach. Make sure you're in this. Make sure the insurance is correct. All of this. You got a family, right? And they were right. I knew they were coming from a great place,
Mm-hmm.
but I felt like this is what God wants me to do. And so I met with my mentor and I was like, hey, man, I know you've been speaking a while. Like, can I do this and sustain like a real life? Like, can I do this and take care of my wife and my children? Like, I get it. I love it. I feel like this is what God wants me to do. He was like, yeah. And that's why, like, when I speak, people hear me say that quote, Harry, when I say you can't speed up the river and you can't slow it down at a certain point, you got to have some
Mm-hmm.
faith,
That's
right?
right.
That's what my man told me. He was like, bro, you can't speed it up. You can't slow it down. At a certain point, you got to have some faith. If you believe this is what God wants you to do, step out on it. And it
That's
was
right.
at that point I was like, all right, create, I'm cashing in all my chips. Let's go. And I've been doing it for 14 years, full time ever since, man. And
Bro,
God has been
that's deep,
faithful.
bro. That's
Yeah,
deep.
been
Listen,
faithful,
that's
man.
deep, man. That
Yeah.
that faith, man. And Ink, I'm at the time in my life where I'm working on building my relationship with the good man by myself. You know what I
Mm,
mean?
no doubt.
Because the stronger I build, the stronger my relationship is with him, my family gonna be better. You know what I mean? My
Yeah,
business stuff gonna be better. Everything around me is gonna hone in and become better. So
that's
that's
real.
why I'm focusing on right now my relationship one-on-one with God, so everything else around me can just flow better.
Yeah,
You know what I
that's
mean?
real. No
Now,
doubt.
you played in the SEC, man. I gotta ask you, what was it like playing in the big time conference like that? Because you wasn't the biggest
Yeah.
now. That's another thing
Nah,
a lot of cats
that's
don't
what I'm
understand.
saying.
We both went, I went to college at 5'8", 125. I was
Yeah.
little dude. How big was you when you went to UT?
Man, I touched campus. I was probably like 155, soaking wet. You know what I'm saying? Soaking wet, bro.
Man,
Yeah, yeah.
what was that like playing in the SEC, man? Because you got to tackle running backs that's 240, 250.
Peace, peace, man. It was fun, man. But like you say, you see these cats, they freaking natures, man. You look across the field, you see some of these cats, bro, and it's like, man, like it's amazing. But it was fun, man. It taught me a lot. I
Yeah.
learned a lot. I loved the experience, man, of just competing. I loved every aspect of it. I love going to an opponent's stadium and watching how people do what they do. I love
Mm-hmm.
the whole game day atmosphere. Like I love sports in general. Like I love pro sports, but I always tell people, man, like I love college, bro. Like
It's
any
different.
college is different, right? The game day experience, like you can go to
Yep.
any college game day experience on a Saturday, it's gonna be amazing, right? And so I loved it, man. The SEC, you get to go against some of the best athletes in the world every week and measure yourself against them. It was awesome, bro. I wouldn't change it for the world, man.
So you had to look at one school. If it was one school you was looking forward to playing every year, what would that school be? What was that
Oh,
school?
Georgia, no doubt,
Okay.
Georgia. Yeah, because
He
we
for the
Georgia,
crib,
we
yeah.
from Georgia, and so going and this was the thing too. Like I went on visits to Georgia. Like
Mhm.
Georgia is one of the first teams to recruit me. But in
Really?
high school, and my family, a lot of my family were Georgia people. You know what I'm saying? Like they love Georgia. We had the crib, and so when I went there academically, I didn't have all my stuff straight, right?
Mhm.
And I was at a school to where when it came to clearinghouse, sliding scale, I just didn't know. And so when
Yeah.
I went on to visit to Georgia, they was like, man, this cat athletic, but we don't know if my man gonna make it. Like it was on one of those tips, like, we don't know if he gonna graduate high school,
Yeah.
right? And so when I went in to meet with the coaches, they was explaining it to me. And when Tennessee offered me, they hit me up like, Ink, we was on you first, man. What's going on? And I was
Yeah.
like, man, I gotta make sure I got a plan so I can go to school. Like I can't wait and y'all leave me high and dry. And it was like, oh, we wouldn't do that. We'll just send you to Hargrave or Georgia Military. And so Georgia was that school every year, because the family talked trash and I had friends there as well. So it was always fun though, man.
That's love. So I'm gonna stay with your alma mater, University of Tennessee. Now, the last few years, there's been a lot of dysfunction within that
Oh,
program.
sure. Yeah,
What
man.
do they need to do in your eyes to get back to winning football the correct way?
Yeah, man. I think it's been so many changes in terms of leadership, administration, and throughout that, when you're trying to build a solid culture, like you've been a part of great coaches, I'm sure, and you've been a part of coaches that haven't worked so well. I think
Mm-hmm.
when you're trying to build a great culture, I think you have to have buy-in from the guys. And I think when they see a lot of turnover, whether it's at the head or in administration, guys start to look at that with the perspective of, hey man, I just got 4 years, right?
That's right.
And so maybe I need to do what I got to do for me to try to make it, right? And so when you got a bunch of guys out here that's not really playing for each other and just playing individually because they feel as if, man, there's going to be some more changes anyway, let me do what I got to do. I think it takes that special element out of team sports. But I think also the damage comes when cats lower the expectation and the standard and they
Mm.
get accustomed to losing, right? And they justify it. Oh, we're rebuilding, right? We had changes. We got to get back. And they justify it. And they never come in and say, hey, man, the standard is the standard. We, the University of Tennessee, at one point, we was one of the premier programs in the country. Every single week we came out, we operated, and we did what we had to do. Let's get back to that point, right? I tell
Yeah.
cats all the time, the T didn't change. The logo didn't change.
That's
The
right.
stadium didn't change. The facilities got better, right? Athletes are still athletes, but cats try to justify it and they lower the standard. And I think they got to put the standard back up where it's supposed to be. And cats has got to come up to the level of it.
Great message, man, right there. And that's one thing my pops taught me growing up. Don't ever lower your standards for
Ever,
somebody else liking.
ever.
Don't ever
That's
do that.
real.
And when you said, man, you can't be justifying nonsense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah,
I'll
man.
tell you something that never sit well with me was losing, right?
Mm,
Like losing, it don't matter what I do, Ink. Whether it's I'm washing
mm,
the dishes, I'm taking the trash out, I'm
yeah,
doing everything to the best of my abilities. I don't never want another
mm,
human being to question me as a man, ever.
mm. That's real.
So everything
Yeah.
I do with a purpose, and I try to do to the best of my abilities because I don't want anyone to question me. I got a son
Mm,
and a daughter right now. My daughter's 4, my son's 1.
mm.
I'm trying to instill those principles in them right now.
Yeah.
You know, my daughter,
Yeah.
you know that, you know, them daughter, that's daddy's girl, but you know,
Oh
sometimes
man.
daddy had to get on it, and I'm trying to explain to her that there's no out.
Mm,
There's no out to it. I don't want to hear your
yeah.
excuse. Excuses don't fly with me. I don't care
Mm,
if you daddy's girl. It's not going like that.
yeah. No doubt. Hey, they say it's two type of athletes, bro. They say it's athletes that like to win and it's athletes that hate to lose. You know what I'm saying? It's cats that they like to win, but them cats that hate to lose,
That's right.
competitor. You know what I'm saying? That's a different type of competitor.
Facts.
Yeah.
Now I want to talk about your wife, man, because she is an important piece to your journey, right? And since y'all was kids, man, y'all have been down with one another. In your darkest days, she's been there. In your
No
brightest
doubt.
moments, she's been there as well. How much
No
of a
doubt.
blessing is it to know that your significant other, no matter what transpire, is gonna be there with you 100% fighting and supporting you?
Man, tremendous. Like I firmly believe I'm the man I am today because of her. You know,
Mm,
like the blessing she's been in my life, you know, not only just propelling me and pushing me, but also holding me accountable. You know what I'm saying? Believing
that's
in
right.
me, right? Like when I was getting ready to pursue a career in speaking, like I was talking to her about it. Of course, I was talking to the creator and praying. But if she probably never would have been like, you think this is what you're supposed to be doing with your life? And I was like, yeah, she was like, go for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mm,
bro, I didn't have no gigs, I didn't have no relationships in terms of speaking. But she was like, go for it. Right. And that meant the world to me, right? Because that was the one person's belief that I needed the most in that moment, in that season of my life. And it's turned into what it's turned into, but also just from the standpoint of being a mother, right? When I travel, knowing that I got somebody at home with our children, knowing that I got somebody at home that's going to hold it down, like that means the world to me. The way she operates, the way she carries herself, the way she handles our family, I don't think I could be the man that I am now without her. You know what I'm saying? And so she means the world to me, man. I've been knowing her since 5th grade. You know what I'm saying?
wow.
Rocking for a
That's that
minute.
true love,
You
man. That's
know,
that true
that's
love right there.
that. Hey, that puppy love, you know what I'm
Yeah, man.
saying? But it's
But
real, man.
because I tell you, you know, and the things that we do in our life, you was an athlete, right? So it's times a cat may be with a young lady, he get hurt, right?
Mm, mm,
Next thing you know, she gone.
gone.
Now, if there's one thing that you would tell people when it comes to relationships, what's that
Mm.
one thing you would tell them?
Yeah, man. Find you somebody that loves you for you and not for what you do,
Mm,
right? Because a lot of times I think like to the situation that you just spoke to, I think we both know people that's transpired and happened with. And so I think when you got somebody that loves you and cares for you for who you are as a person and not what you do, it doesn't matter what happens externally in terms
mm,
of if you lose your position, if you lose your gig, if you're not with this team, if you're not with this corporation, they're riding with you because they believe in who you are or the person that you can become. And I think that's extremely important also when it comes to a standpoint to where you're trying to build in life and you're trying to grow and you're trying to expand, right? You got to have somebody there to foster that growth. You got to have somebody there that's not just going to congratulate you, but also hold you accountable from a real place of love. And so I
mm.
think get you somebody that loves you for you and not for what you do.
Oh, listen, you giving me these chills over here now. I told you, Ink, I love hearing you speak though, man, because everything you
Yeah,
say come from the heart, bro.
no doubt,
You
man.
know what I mean?
No
And
doubt.
that's gonna lead me to the next thing I'm about to bring up. One of the messages, my favorite message that
Yeah.
that you delivered, I believe it was to a team, but you said this right here. You said when you work hard for something, you have a different attachment to it. The harder
Yeah.
you work, the harder it is to surrender. When you
Mm,
don't work for something, it's easy to give up.
mm.
Why is that message so important?
Yeah, man. It's just like I ask cats all the time, like, man, can you be committed to the process of what you're doing without being emotionally attached to the results of what you're doing? Meaning if the situation don't turn out the way you want it to, if you don't get what you want, if somebody talk to you crazy, Like, will that dictate your work ethic, your dedication, and your commitment? Because I firmly believe, like I was talking to Georgia Tech last week, and I was like, this is the one thing I can guarantee you as a man. If you show up and you bring your best every single day, I'm not saying you're going to be your best every single day, but if you bring your best, whatever it is, every single day, it's going to yield something that's going to be far more superior than a win, than a loss, or your position on the
That's right.
team, right? The harder you work, the harder it is to surrender. When you work for something, it's something on the inside of you when adversity and opposition shows up that's going to be like, bro, I'm not quitting. Like, I'm not folding, right? It's like when my injury happened, I'm going to be real with you, bro. When they cut me up, like from that surgery, and they had all them staples in my body, it was days to where I just wanted to lay there and be like, man, I can't do nothing today. But my spirit, my mentality was like, man, bro, we ain't rocking like that.
That's right.
That was from the work that I had put in. The harder I work, the harder it is to surrender. Like I'm just conditioned a certain type of way, right? I firmly believe when you go at things a certain type of way, it's gonna condition you a certain type of way. It's gonna wire you a certain type of way. And I think a lot of times when cats give up, cats quit, cats throw opportunities away, it's based upon, man, you didn't work hard enough for it, or you gave the opportunity, and so you don't cherish it or appreciate it. When I say it's a different type of attachment to it, what I'm speaking to is it's a different type of love to it. Yeah.
Boy, I'm telling you. Now, here go another one you said, right?
Mm-hmm.
Stop being driven by rewards.
Mm-hmm.
I think that right there, because like I just said, my daughter, I'm trying to get my daughter out of that right now because she'll eat a dinner. Daddy, I ate my dinner. Can I have a treat? No, you eat your dinner because you're supposed to eat your dinner. Not you don't eat your dinner so you can get a treat. That's not what we're doing.
Yeah.
That one right there, man, is so big because in that process of grinding and working hard, like you just alluded to, you're building somebody, you're building character, you're finding out who you are as a person as well. And then whether it's a reward there or not, you're building those principles for your life, for you to live by, for you to go by every day, right? So I think that one was a big one too.
Yeah,
now,
man. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Like so we look at youth football today, right? I look at youth football when we was growing up. It's like all the homies, all the cats was out here playing youth football, right?
Yeah.
Everybody, kids. Now the game has changed right now, and the participation is actually dropping tremendously. I want to ask you, why do you feel like the participation in youth football has decreased so much?
I think just from a education standpoint, people have become more knowledgeable about just the game and some of the things that it brings. I think the whole thing with the CTE and the attention that it's had over the past couple of years that's been given to it, I think that's piqued a lot of people's attention. But also, I think from a mental health aspect, I think a lot of people have tapped into paying attention to that as well. And so I think even with young kids, right? Like I got boys that's played in the NFL, got sons, and I've talked to them. Like one night I was on the phone with one of my buddies, man, to like 3 a.m. And he got a son rather, like 12 years old. And he called me, he was like, Ink, man, me and my wife been going at it about me letting him play football. And like she's not feeling it. And he said, she told me if I want to do it, that's my decision. If something happens to him, that's my decision. And he was like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if something happened to my son. And he was like, man, how did you process that happening to you? And I was like, I was a lot older, and so I viewed it differently. And I was like, I just looked at my situation kind of like fate. It was destiny for me. It was already written. But I was like, if you don't have peace about it, don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Because if something costs you your peace, it's too expensive anyway. I tell cats all the time, if
You
something
said double
costs
the
you your
word.
peace, bro, it's too expensive, right? Don't do it. And I said, most importantly, man, just the knowledge of the game. I think that's why the participation is down. And I think if you choose to do it, whoever it is that's listening, if you choose to do it, I think it's important to make sure you got you some good coaching, right, with your kids, man, and somebody that's teaching them the game and not just putting them in the Oklahoma drill, making them bang, bang, bang all day and not giving them the right knowledge about it.
Now, you have a son. I want to ask you, being a parent, would you let your son play football?
Yeah, if he wanted to.
Okay.
A lot older though. I probably start him
Yep.
late middle school, early high school. But I think with what has happened to me, now he's at the age to where he can look it up. He can find out information about it. I think it's kind of put him in the headspace like, I don't know, man, about that. Like that happened to me, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that happened to my daddy, you know what I'm saying? And so he hasn't really showed any interest in it, man. Like he'll play with a ball or something, we'll play catch. But like I've always taken the approach of, man, when he grows up, with him and my daughter, like when they grow, I'm not gonna try to force them to do something, but whatever they choose to do, I'm just gonna try to foster that growth, cultivate that level of excellence, whatever it is. They come and say, Dad, I want to be an artist. All right, cool, let's go. I want to be a gymnast. All right, cool, let's go. And so he's gravitated more to baseball. It comes natural to him, basketball. And my daughter, she does the competitive cheer, but yeah, he hasn't showed any interest in it. Yeah.
And see, I think I'm gonna take that same approach with my son when it comes to football. Now, I'm not gonna be like, hey, you want to play football, you got to play football. If that's what he wants to do, I'm gonna support him 100%. If he want to play in the band, I'm gonna support him 100%. If he want to be a lawyer, doctor, I'm gonna support him 100%. And but I say this though, like growing up, now my father didn't do this to me and my brother. We chose to do these things, but you have a lot of parents out there that's forcing their kids to do things to live out their dreams.
Yeah.
What would you say to those parents? What message would you get to those parents?
Man, you're gonna do a lot more damage than a sport, right? Like I think a lot of times when we look at sports or we look at whatever it is, whether it's youth sports or whatever the case may be, we do a lot of damage because we look at it with a shallow perspective. And if you're forcing a kid to do something that their heart is not really in, at a certain point, they're gonna burn out and they're gonna quit anyway. And so now you're gonna have a problem with their drive, their dedication, and their ability to quit something when they feel as if now you could be at a point as a parent to where you've grown and now you're trying to push them to bring greatness out of them. But because at a certain point in their life, you push them so much to do something that they really didn't want to do, they're going to process the whole pushing of them to cultivate excellence and greatness wrong. They're going to look at it like, man, Pop's pushing me again. I don't want to do it. Right. And so now you're going to have a bigger issue.
That's
I think
right.
it's important, man, to support the kids and whatever they choose to do. Like you just said, push them, right, to get greatness out of them, but don't force them to do something that their heart is really not in because you're trying to live out your dream through them and the kid ends up burning out and you do even more damage than a sport. Now you're dealing with an issue that's going to carry over and roll over into their everyday life. And then you got a real problem.
I respect that 100%, man. Now I want to bring up someone who thinks very highly of you, respects you, and honors you in a great way. Safety Eric Berry. Now he chose to wear number 29 when he went to the Kansas City Chiefs in honor of you, right? When I say the name Eric Berry, what comes to mind for you?
Man, warrior, man. Great person. You know what I'm saying? Like one of the most thorough people I've ever met in my life. You know, hard worker, does things the right way. Just a solid person, man. Like he helped me grow more than he would ever know, you know, because when I first met EB at the University of Tennessee, you know, my career was over and I was just helping out the young cats, you know, going to my rehab sessions, still going to meetings with them. You know, he was a great player, but he was young trying to figure it out. And so I told him, man, write me down your goals and your dreams and what you want to accomplish. And he brought them to me. And I said, and now I want you to write down what are you going to sacrifice in order to make it happen? And what are you going to be committed to in order to make it happen? And I still got those goals and dreams in my office, right? Like I got when he wrote on a piece of paper, man, I want to win the Thorpe Award a year and a half before it even happened, right? And a lot of those goals and dreams like that. And so EB helped me out far more than I ever could have done for him. I was just being a big brother and a good teammate for him, but it went on to impact him in ways I never could have imagined. Yeah.
Bro, I love that, man, because it's crazy how it's people that you probably never thought would be there for you like that inspire you even more and give you that confirmation. Okay, you know what I am doing is right. The path I'm on is the right path. And sometimes it take a younger guy to look up to you and give you that affirmation. Not saying that you're searching and looking for it, but it just adds to the fuel that you need. It probably in your tank that day to be like, you know what? Absolutely. Stay on this road that we on right here. Stay on this road, man. Yeah. We're gonna be all right.
No doubt. That's real, you know though. I mean? That's real. That's real.
Being a former defensive back, I got to ask you this question. When you look at the
Mhm.
NFL today, who are your top 5 corners in the league?
Oh man, man, can I go with my top one?
You can go with
My
your top
top
one.
one, my top one, man, Jaylen Ramsey, man.
Okay, okay.
That's
So
my
so
that's
so
my
why is
dude,
why
man.
is Jaylen your top one?
I just like the confidence he brings to the game. Even though it's a lot of great cats out there that play the game the right way, man. But
Mhm.
I like Jaylen. I know Jaylen. I've been knowing him for a while. I like how he plays the game. I think a lot of people misinterpret and misunderstand some of the things that he does or he says because he brings a certain level of confidence to the game. And
Mhm.
like we're skilled guys. You know what I'm saying? Like DB, you receiver, like we gotta bring a certain element to the game. You know what I'm
You gonna
saying?
get
Like
ate up.
how we
You
do
go
it.
you
Yeah,
gonna
you're
get
gonna
you
get
gonna get ate
demolished. You
up.
know what I'm saying? Like we're going against receivers, y'all
Facts.
fast, athletic, y'all on y'all timing with a quarterback, and we out here with all this space, and we got to try to cover y'all cats. And
Yep.
y'all some of the most athletic cats in the world. And so if you don't have that mentality that you're the best and that you can bring it every single day and shut down whoever, you're gonna get annihilated. And I think
Mhm.
because of Jaylen and how he plays the game, man, I respect it. I respect it, bro.
See, I like Jaylen too. I actually played against Jaylen maybe in his first 2 or 3 years in the league when I was in Tennessee. And
Mm,
I knew he was gonna be a problem, man, because he long, he big, he can run. And like you said, you
yeah,
got that confidence. To all
yes,
y'all
sir.
young cats out there right now, you cannot play this game without confidence.
Mm,
And
yeah.
once you have it at the level that you need to have it at, don't let it waver.
Mm,
Right? It's times where like you may question some things here and there, but just get back to your technique. Never let
yeah.
your confidence go, because you know this. Once your confidence go, especially playing corner, if your
It's over.
confidence go, you done.
It's over. It's over. Like Harry, even when I played in the SEC, I used to approach the game, and of course, I wanted to make every play. I wanted to lock cats up, but I knew, like, bro, I'm going against some of the best athletes in the world in college
Facts.
football in general. And so, even as a DB, you got to have that short-term memory to know, man, you're going against Harry Duggan. He gonna make a play. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? He gonna make a play. He ball. He work hard just like you do. But when he makes that play, strap it up, get right back in his face and say, bro, let's go. Let's give them what they paid for. You can't let him make a play and now you feel like, oh man, he got me. It's over for you.
That's
He
right.
finna, he finna
he,
annihilate you. He
he
gonna
finna hit
take
you. He finna hit you
school,
for
bro.
200. He finna hit you for
Oh, he finna get
200.
you put out the league. That's what he about to do. You know what I'm saying? And so have that short-term memory, man, and know Cat's gonna make plays. You gonna make them and just play the game, bro. Play it.
Facts.
Yeah.
Now, I want to go back to some of the messages that you have spoke on recently. In life, people don't burn out because of what they do.
Mm-hmm.
They burn out because life makes them forget why they do it. Break that down for me,
Absolutely.
Ink.
Yeah, man. Like I think in any arena, in any aspect of life, when you see somebody that's burned out, when you see somebody that's waved the white flag and say, man, I yield, I quit. Like that was something that they once loved. That was something that once fueled them. That was something that once gave them like the fire to do what they did. That was something that once got them up to say, bro, I'm finna bring everything I got to it. That was something that brought a certain level of fulfillment to their life one day. But I
Mhm.
think life happens, whether it be adversity, opposition, challenges, right? Life happens to somebody they love. Life happens to a situation or a circumstance. And it makes you forget why you do what you do. It makes you forget why you love it. It makes you forget why you showed up every single day. You could take an educator, right, that wanted to be a teacher their whole life. You know what I'm saying? From the time they was a kid, because of the impact that a teacher made in their life. And they started like, man, I know what I'm gonna do when I graduate college, right? I'm gonna go and I'm gonna be a teacher. I want to impact kids like my teacher did for me, right? They start their career going great. They get in year 5. They get a bad classroom, right? Now these kids taking them up through there. They get a principal that's micromanaging. Every day, the principal coming down. Test scores are not what they need to be. Kids are not doing what they're supposed to do. Now you start focusing on that and you forget that you got into it to have an impact on a kid like your teacher had on you. And so now you burn out and you quit. Not because you don't have the talent and the skill set anymore to be a great educator. Your focus just got lost. You forgot why you do what you do.
That's
And
right.
so I think that's one of the greatest tricks of life, man. It makes people forget why they do what they do and they burn out.
Now the next one I got for you is is one I think is one of the realest ones that you've ever said, right?
Mhm.
The ability to learn is a gift, even when pain is our teacher.
Yeah, man.
Like that one right
Yeah,
there, man.
yeah,
That's
man.
huge because pain is something that everybody goes through, right?
Everybody.
Whether it's physical, emotional,
Hmm.
whatever other kind of pain there is out there. Pain is something
Yes,
we all
sir.
endure. Something we all go through. But when you have the mindset that, okay, what can I learn from this pain?
Mm.
I think you're heading off in the right direction. Now,
Yeah,
what would you say to the people who can't grasp it in that way? You know what I
hmm,
mean? And see it as
no
something
doubt.
they can learn from it. What would you say to those people?
Yeah, I think, man, like when I say like the ability to learn is a gift, even when pain is your teacher. A lot of times when we go through things, we want to understand it immediately. Like you go through something today that you didn't expect, it hurt you, it brought you pain. You want to know why. It's human
Mhm.
behavior, it's natural, right? Like my arm get paralyzed out of nowhere. I'm like, bro, what is this? I can't even I can't use my right arm and hand. I was right hand dominant. And now all of a
Mhm.
sudden one day I cannot use it like ever again. Like you want to know, like, man, why? Like, why did this happen to me? What's going on with this? Right. And a lot of times I tell people don't focus on understanding it, right? Because sometimes you're not going to
Mhm.
understand it in the midst of it. Focus on surviving it, right? Just focus on surviving it. And if you survive the adversity and opposition, the pain, the challenge, whatever it is that life presents to you, once you focus on surviving it and you get to a place of peace, now you get to a place of understanding. Now you get to a place you was like, all right, man, I can mellow out now. Now let me look back and try to put the pieces to the puzzle. Now let me look back and try to understand it. And for some people, that can happen in a week, right? For
Mhm.
some people, it can be a few months. For others, it's going to be a year, 2 years, 3 years, to where you're just going to be in the midst of that thing and it's going to be a boxing match. But don't focus immediately on understanding it and trying to figure out why it happened. Focus on surviving it. Take that energy, take that passion, try to focus on surviving it. Try to look back and say, man, why did this have to happen to me the way that it did? And take it and process it in the right way and use it, right? The quicker you use your situation, the quicker you shift your perspective, the quicker you can get through it. But a lot of times we just want to sit in that thing and fight it and fight it and fight it. And sometimes, like I told a cat one time, I was like, bro, it ain't a Bible scripture for everything. It's not. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't
Right.
always tell a cat, hey, bro, go to Romans, this, that, and third. Like some stuff so real, bro. You just gotta be like, bro, I gotta try to survive this
That's
thing. You know what I'm saying?
facts.
It ain't a Bible scripture for
Oh man.
everything. You know what I'm saying? Cat be so spiritual. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, it's not. Just survive it. You know what I'm saying?
Man, that's 100
Yeah,
right there, man.
yeah,
Inky,
man.
as you sit here today, right? You look at
Mhm.
everything you've accomplished, everything you've overcome, everything you had to go through. What is the proudest moment in your life and why?
Um, the proudest moment, man, I would say marrying my wife
Mm,
and being in the room when both of my kids were born. Like that was beautiful, man. That was an experience because my father wasn't present when
mm,
I was born, and I knew that my whole life. And so being able to be in the room when both of my kids were born and be right there by my wife, holding her hand, being right there, she was going through her pains, being right there as the doctor was talking to her and watching my kid come out, man, that was huge for me. You know what I'm saying? And also marrying my wife, that was a beautiful moment, right? Because my whole childhood, my mom and my father never married. My wife, her parents never married, and so being able to make history and do that, but also be on the other side of that when our children were born, that was special, man. Those moments are probably it for me. Yeah.
and I'll say this. This is the last thing I'm gonna say. What you and your wife both did is it's not magical, it's
Mm-hmm.
greatness, right?
Mm,
Because y'all didn't believe in generational curses.
no doubt.
Y'all broke those.
No
Y'all
doubt.
broke those. And now y'all have a beautiful family together. Y'all support one another. And now y'all riding off in the sunset in a great way.
No
You know what I mean? So I
doubt.
commend you for that. I commend you for being there for your kids. Because as we know, man, in the African American community, That's something that we have to get better at, right? Is
Absolutely.
our Black fathers being in our kids' life. That's why you do it. That's why I do it. I was lucky enough to have both of my parents, but my father didn't have that, right? He didn't. His father was in Vietnam. He didn't have the guidance of a father in his life. But now we're here now, full circle, and like I just told you, man, I commend you for that, because out of everything that I've seen you accomplish, that might be the most I'm proud of you.
I appreciate
is being
that,
a father,
man.
and being there for your kids, and marrying the woman of your kids, who is now your wife. That's huge, man. That's big.
No doubt.
And I'm gonna call a spade a spade.
Yes, sir.
You know me, our energy the same. You know I ain't blowing smoke up nobody.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
I'm gonna keep it real. I'm gonna call it like I see it. And
No
I
doubt.
respect that 100%, man.
No
And
doubt.
Ink, man, I want to thank you for coming on the HD Connection and sharing this time with me, and letting the people know a little bit more about your life, and things that you have going on, and what drove you, and how you were feeling, because it takes another grown man to tap into that vulnerability as well, right? So I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you, and bro, we got to stay in contact, man, because I love everything you got going on, man.
Oh, no doubt, man. And also, man, just brother to brother, man. I'm proud of you, bro. And I appreciate this platform. I appreciate what you do and how you do it, man. It was an honor to be on. Nothing but love and respect, my brother. Yeah.
Appreciate that.